The crystalline spires of the stellar assembly stretched toward the binary stars overhead, their surfaces refracting light in mesmerizing patterns across the grand chamber. Ambassador Elena Chen stood her ground, maintaining perfect composure despite being dwarfed by the 15-foot-tall Corexian delegation that loomed over the human contingent. Her augmented hearing implant picked up their whispered conversations, a cascade of dismissive comments that she carefully logged for future reference. Supreme Commander Vexthor's massive form shifted in his ceremonial seat, causing the reinforced metal to creak under his weight. His four eyes narrowed as the holographic display showed Earth's military forces in action. Tanks rolled across desert terrain, jets soared through clouds, and ships cut through ocean waves. How quaint, he rumbled in the common galactic language, not bothering to lower his voice. They operate their vehicles from the inside, like prey hiding in burrows. His aide, statistical advisor Clara, made a sound that might have been a poorly suppressed laugh. Elena maintained her diplomatic smile, learned through years of negotiations on Earth. The Corexians' overconfidence would work to humanity's advantage. Supreme Commander, we appreciate your attention to our military demonstration. As you can see, our forces are highly mobile and adaptable. Indeed, Vexthor replied, waving one massive hand dismissively. Though I fail to see how such miniature equipment could stand against a proper military force. Your largest vehicle barely reaches the height of a Corexian cadet. The other members of the Galactic Security Council shifted in their seats. The serpentine Sereth ambassador flicked their tongue thoughtfully, while the crystalline Lumini representative sparkled with what Elena recognized as amusement. They had all seen this pattern before, the Corexians dismissing species smaller than themselves. Size, Supreme Commander, Elena responded smoothly, can be deceiving. Humanity has a long history of turning perceived weaknesses into strengths. The hologram shifted to showcase Earth's special forces in training. The Corexian delegation's amusement grew more pronounced as they watched human soldiers navigating obstacle courses and conducting precision operations. Look at their tiny weapons, one of the junior Corexian officers whispered. They could not even pierce our ceremonial armor. Elena felt a subtle vibration from her neural implant, a message from Earth Command confirming that Phase 1 was proceeding exactly as planned. The Corexians' prejudice was laying the perfect foundation for what was to come. We would be happy to arrange a more detailed demonstration of our capabilities, Elena offered, knowing the suggestion would be dismissed. The Corexians were following the psychological profile Earth's synopsychologists had assembled perfectly. Supreme Commander Vexthor raised himself to his full height, towering over the human delegation. That will not be necessary, Ambassador. The Corexian Empire has seen enough to make an informed decision regarding Earth's status in the galactic community. Elena noticed the slight shift in the other council members' postures. They had seen this before too. The prelude to another protective integration proposal. The Corexians had used the same approach on 3 other species in the past decade alone. The Council will convene tomorrow to discuss our findings, Vexthor announced. We recommend that Earth's representatives prepare themselves for a significant proposal regarding their future security arrangements. As the delegation filed out of the chamber, Elena caught fragments of their conversations with her enhanced hearing. Another simple integration, barely worth the diplomatic formalities. At least they're docile. She waited until the chamber had emptied before allowing herself a small smile. The Corexians had drawn exactly the conclusions Earth had hoped for. Their assumptions about size and strength would blind them to humanity's true capabilities until it was too late. Opening a secure channel to Earth Command, she sent a brief message. Phase 1 complete. They took the bait. Proceed with Phase 2. The response came back instantly. Acknowledged. Operation Micro Thunder is now active. The underwater facility hummed with activity as Dr. Sarah Chen made her final adjustments to the neural interface matrix. Through the reinforced windows, bioluminescent fish cast shifting shadows across the laboratory's polished surfaces. 30 years of research had led to this moment, and the Coraxians had just given Earth the perfect opportunity to reveal it. Neural synchronization at 98%, her assistant reported from the monitoring station. The operators are showing unprecedented control levels across all test scenarios. Sarah watched as Captain Michael Rodriguez, their lead operator, directed his swarm through another practice run. 1,000 miniaturized units moved in perfect harmony, executing maneuvers that would have been impossible with traditional control systems. Each unit carried a fragment of his consciousness, guided by his decades of combat experience. The secure communication panel chimed, displaying Ambassador Elena's report from the Stellar Assembly. Sarah's lips curved into a slight smile as she read about the Coraxians' dismissive attitude. Everything was proceeding according to plan. "They've given us 30 rotations," Sarah announced to her team. "Time to show them what humanity can do when underestimated." In the training chamber, the micro-units danced through obstacle courses designed to mimic Coraxian military formations. Their movements were fluid, precise, and lethal. Each unit stood barely 6 inches tall, but carried enough advanced technology to penetrate the supposedly impervious Coraxian battle armor. The facility's commander, Admiral James Wright, entered the laboratory, his expression grave. "The Coraxian Council has formalized their ultimatum. Either we accept their protection or face military action." He paused, watching the practice session through the observation window. "Their terms are exactly what we anticipated." Sarah nodded, pulling up the latest test results on her holographic display. "And our response. Operation Micro Thunder has been authorized at the highest levels. The Security Council is divided. The Sreth and Lumini representatives have privately expressed concern about Coraxian expansion, but they're unwilling to intervene directly." In the training chamber, Captain Rodriguez completed another flawless demonstration. His neural load readings remained stable even as he guided his swarm through increasingly complex maneuvers. The micro-units moved like a living organism, adapting instantly to simulated threats. "Look at these neural patterns," Sarah pointed to a scrolling display. "The human brain's capacity for parallel processing exceeds all our initial projections. Our operators aren't just controlling these units, they're extending their consciousness through them." Admiral Wright studied the data with intense interest. The Coraxians base their entire military doctrine on overwhelming physical presence. They've never encountered an enemy they couldn't simply overpower. "That's about to change," Sarah replied, initiating the final diagnostic sequence. "Their size advantage is about to become their greatest weakness. Each of these micro-units can exploit gaps in their armor that larger weapons couldn't reach." The facility's alert system pulsed, indicating an incoming transmission from Earth Command. The message was brief but clear. "Phase 2 authorized. Commence demonstration preparations." Sarah turned to her team, her voice carrying the weight of 3 decades of preparation. "This is what we've trained for. Begin final equipment checks and deploy the carrier vessels. We have 29 rotations to show the galaxy that humanity's greatest strength isn't our size. It's our ability to adapt." In the training chamber, Captain Rodriguez powered down his swarm, the tiny units returning to their charging stations with mechanical precision. His neural readings showed minimal fatigue despite hours of continuous operation. The human mind's plasticity had proven to be their greatest asset. "Dr. Chen," he called through the intercom, "I think we're ready to show our visitors what these toys can do." Sarah looked at the deployment schedule, then at the determined faces of her team. The Coraxians had expected Earth to submit meekly to their protection. Instead, they were about to learn a lesson about underestimating humanity that the galaxy would never forget. The demonstration chamber aboard the Stellar Assembly Station fell silent as the massive doors slid open. Supreme Commander Vexthor and his delegation sat in their reinforced observation seats, their expressions a mixture of boredom and mild amusement. Below, in the demonstration arena, a single human-sized container sat unopened. "You requested this demonstration." Ambassador Elena addressed the gathered delegates, her voice steady. We appreciate the opportunity to showcase Earth's military capabilities before the Council makes its final decision. Captain Rodriguez stood beside the container, his neural interface barely visible beneath his dress uniform collar. The Caraxian junior officers whispered among themselves, pointing at his small stature with poorly concealed derision. "Proceed," Vexthor rumbled, settling back in his chair. "Show us these capabilities you speak of." Rodriguez placed his hand on the container's biosensor. The side smoothly retracted, revealing what appeared to be thousands of tiny metallic insects. The Caraxian delegation burst into thunderous laughter, their massive frames shaking with mirth. "This is your military might," Statistical Advisor Clara called out. "A collection of mechanical pets." Alina noticed the Sereth ambassadors' sudden tension. Their species-enhanced vision had caught something the others had missed. The insects were arranging themselves into perfect geometric formations, demonstrating a level of coordination that should have been impossible. Rodriguez closed his eyes, and the neural interface hummed to life. In an instant, the micro-units surged into action. They formed complex, three-dimensional patterns in the air, moving with fluid grace that seemed to defy physics. Each unit maintained perfect spacing, creating living constellations that shifted and transformed. The Caraxian laughter died away. "What you're witnessing," Alina explained, "is a single human operator controlling 1,000 independent units simultaneously. Each unit carries the full tactical awareness and combat experience of its operator." To demonstrate, Rodriguez directed his swarm through a series of military drills. The units split into multiple squadrons, each executing different maneuvers while maintaining perfect synchronization. They flowed around obstacles, through narrow gaps, and reformed into new configurations without a single collision. "Impressive coordination," Supreme Commander Vexthor admitted grudgingly. "But these toys could not possibly." His voice trailed off as Rodriguez directed a single unit toward a sample of Caraxian battle armor placed in the arena. The micro-unit landed on the armor's surface, its advanced sensors identifying a microscopic seam. In seconds, it had demonstrated how it could breach the supposedly impenetrable defense. "Impossible," Clara whispered, her four eyes wide with disbelief. "The human brain," Alina continued, "possesses remarkable neural plasticity. Our operators don't simply control these units, they extend their consciousness through them. Each unit becomes an extension of their body, guided by years of combat experience and tactical knowledge." Rodriguez opened his eyes, maintaining control as he addressed the Council directly. "What you see here is not our entire capability. This is merely a demonstration unit. Earth has thousands of trained operators, each capable of controlling similar swarms." The implications slowly dawned on the Caraxian delegation. Their size advantage, their impenetrable armor, their overwhelming military doctrine, all had been rendered obsolete by an enemy they could barely see. Furthermore, Alina added, watching the growing concern spread across the massive faces, "Our operators can maintain neural synchronization indefinitely. The micro-units can operate in any environment, from the vacuum of space to the depths of the ocean." The Sereth ambassador's translator crackled to life. "Most impressive. It seems we have all underestimated humanity's innovative potential." Supreme Commander Vexthor stood abruptly, his massive frame casting a shadow over the chamber. "The Council requests a recess to reevaluate our previous assessments." As the delegation filed out, Alina caught the gleam of genuine fear in their eyes. The message had been received. Humanity would not be conquered through size alone. Their perceived weakness had become their greatest strength. The Caraxian testing ground stretched across the rocky surface of their military moon, its thin atmosphere perfect for the upcoming demonstration. Supreme Commander Vexthor had insisted on a proper military engagement, following the initial showcase, certain that his elite Crimson Guard would expose the limitations of Earth's micro-units. Captain Rodriguez stood in the command center alongside Dr. Chen and Ambassador Alina, watching as the Crimson Guard took their positions. The massive warriors moved with surprising grace despite their 15-foot frames and heavy battle armor. "They're deploying sonic disruptors," Dr. Chen noted, monitoring her displays. "They think our neural interfaces are vulnerable to acoustic interference." Rodriguez adjusted his neural link, feeling the familiar connection as his consciousness extended to the 1,000 micro-units waiting in their deployment pods. They're about to learn otherwise. The Correction observation deck was packed with military officials and diplomatic representatives from across the galaxy. Many had arrived specifically to witness this unprecedented engagement. The Lumini ambassador's crystalline form sparkled with barely contained excitement. "Begin the exercise," Vexthor commanded, his voice booming across the communications channel. The Crimson Guard activated their sonic weapons immediately, filling the air with frequencies designed to disrupt electronic systems. They advanced in perfect formation, their heavy footsteps sending vibrations through the rocky ground. Rodriguez closed his eyes and smiled, initiating deployment pattern Delta. The micro-unit pods burst open. Instead of emerging as a single swarm, the units scattered in seemingly random directions, using the moon's rocky terrain for cover. The Correction officers muttered in confusion, having expected a direct confrontation. "Your units flee," one of them called out mockingly. "No," Rodriguez replied calmly. "They hunt." The first indication that something was wrong came when the rightmost Crimson Guard warrior stumbled. His armor's joint servos had seized up, compromised by micro-units that had infiltrated through microscopic maintenance ports. Before he could call out a warning, 3 more warriors found their systems failing. "Impossible," Statistical Advisor Clara exclaimed, frantically analyzing the data streams. "Their armor's integrity readings are still at 100%. Ambassador Elena stepped forward. "We never needed to breach your armor. Your maintenance systems provided all the access we required." The remaining Crimson Guard warriors shifted to defensive positions, but it was too late. The micro-units had already identified and exploited every vulnerability in their supposedly superior technology. Some units disrupted power distribution systems, while others reprogrammed targeting systems, turning the Correction's own defensive measures against them. Within minutes, the entire Crimson Guard unit stood immobilized, their advanced armor transformed into elaborate prisons. Not a single shot had been fired, and not one piece of armor had been breached. Match concluded, the automated system announced. Earth forces, total victory. Crimson Guard, total defeat. The observation deck erupted in shocked murmurs. The Shreth ambassador's scales rippled with what their species recognized as deep respect. The Lumini representative had shifted to a shade of blue that indicated profound contemplation. Supreme Commander Vexthor rose slowly from his command chair, his 4 eyes fixed on the human delegation. You could have done this at any time during our previous interactions." "We could have," Elena confirmed, "but we preferred to demonstrate our capabilities in a controlled environment. The Crimson Guard warriors were never in any danger, unlike what might have happened if you had proceeded with your original plans for Earth." Dr. Chen's monitors showed the micro-units returning to their collection pods, their mission completed with surgical precision. "The neural interface performed perfectly," she reported. "Zero lag, 0 units lost." Rodriguez opened his eyes, the neural connection settling into standby mode. "Permission to retrieve our units, Commander Vexthor. We'd be happy to demonstrate some of their other capabilities." The Correction leader remained silent for a long moment, his expression unreadable. Finally, he spoke, his tone carrying new respect. "I believe that will not be necessary. It seems we have much to discuss regarding Earth's position in the galactic community." The Correction War College's central analysis chamber buzzed with frantic activity. Holographic displays filled the massive room, each showing different angles of the demonstration battle. Statistical Advisor Clara had not slept for 3 planetary rotations, her 4 eyes bloodshot as she reviewed the footage for the 100th time. "Their coordination defies everything we know about neural networks," she muttered, manipulating the holographic controls with trembling hands. Each micro-unit moves with the full tactical awareness of a seasoned warrior. Supreme Commander Vexthor stood at the chamber's center, his massive frame casting long shadows across the data displays. How many potential operators does Earth have? Ambassador Elena, invited to the analysis session as a show of new respect, consulted her datavat. Our current training program has certified over 10,000 operators. Each operator can control 1,000 units simultaneously. The implication sent ripples of unease through the assembled Caraxian military leadership. One of the younger analysts dropped his data crystal, the clatter echoing in the sudden silence. 10 million potential combat units, Clara whispered. And that's their current force. Our population includes over 1 billion humans with the neural compatibility for the program, Elena added casually. Of course, not all would choose to serve, but the potential is there. Dr. Chen, who had been invited to explain the technical aspects, brought up a new display. The neural interface allows our operators to process information from all units simultaneously. Each micro-unit becomes an extension of their consciousness, guided by their experience and instincts. A holographic replay showed how Rodriguez's units had systematically disabled the Crimson Guard's armor. Clara highlighted specific sequences, her professional demeanor cracking. They identified and exploited vulnerabilities we didn't even know existed. The maintenance ports were supposed to be secure. Size creates complexity, Dr. Chen explained. The larger the system, the more potential points of failure. Your impressive armor requires thousands of maintenance access points. Our units only needed to find one. A senior Caraxian general slammed his massive fist on the analysis table. We've based our entire military doctrine on overwhelming physical superiority. Against these micro-units, our size works against us. Elena watched the growing realization spread across the room. The mighty Caraxian Empire, which had dominated through sheer physical presence for centuries, suddenly found itself vulnerable to an enemy they had dismissed as insignificant. The Shreth delegation has requested a military partnership, Vexthor announced, his voice cutting through the murmurs. As have the Lumini. They recognized the strategic implications of this technology. Another replay showed the micro-units working in perfect synchronization to disable the Crimson Guard's weapon systems. The neural interface's effectiveness had exceeded even Earth's expectations. What had started as a defense project had revolutionized the concept of warfare itself. Your warriors, Clara addressed Elena, they can maintain this level of control indefinitely. The neural load is minimal, Dr. Chen replied. Our operators can function at peak efficiency for standard combat shifts. The human brain's plasticity allows it to adapt to controlling multiple units as naturally as moving our own limbs. The implications continued to cascade through the Caraxian command structure. Their ships, their bases, their entire infrastructure, all had been designed with their size in mind. All were potentially vulnerable to these microscopic warriors. Supreme Commander Vexthor straightened to his full height, his decision evident in his bearing. Ambassador Elena, I believe it's time we discussed a very different kind of arrangement between our peoples, one based on mutual respect rather than protection. Elena nodded gracefully, suppressing a smile. The Caraxians had learned what so many others throughout human history had discovered. True strength lay not in size, but in adaptability, innovation, and the courage to imagine new possibilities. We look forward to those discussions, Supreme Commander. I believe we have much to learn from each other. The Grand Chamber of the Stellar Assembly had never seemed more alive. Holographic displays showed the arrival of diplomatic vessels from across the galaxy, their designs as varied as the species that commanded them. The Centaurian fleet's organic ships pulsed with bioluminescence, while the crystalline vessels of the Lumini refracted starlight in dazzling patterns. Ambassador Elena stood at her newly elevated podium, now raised to equal height with the other major powers. The symbolism wasn't lost on anyone present. Dr. Chen and Captain Rodriguez flanked her, their presence requested by multiple delegations eager to discuss potential partnerships. The Proxima Collective offers exclusive mining rights in the Helios sector in exchange for training opportunities, Alina's assistant whispered, updating the endless stream of proposals flooding in. Supreme Commander Vexthor approached their podium, his massive frame carrying a new sense of measured respect. Ambassador, the Caraxian High Command has completed its strategic review. We propose a joint defense initiative. An interesting proposal, Supreme Commander, Alina responded, noting how the other delegations leaned forward with interest. Please, elaborate. Your micro-units have demonstrated unprecedented capabilities in precision operations. Combined with our heavy artillery and capital ships, we could establish a revolutionary defense network. Vexthor's 4 eyes gleamed with genuine enthusiasm. Our size differences could become our greatest shared strength. The Shareth ambassador's translator hummed to life. The Serpent Worlds would also seek inclusion in such an initiative. Our stealth technology would complement both approaches. Dr. Chen studied the technical specifications, scrolling across her datapad. The potential synergies are impressive. Caraxian capital ships could serve as carriers for our micro-unit squadrons, while Shareth cloaking systems could provide unprecedented tactical advantages. The chamber's attention shifted as the Lumini representative approached, their crystalline form refracting light in patterns that indicated deep interest. We offer our quantum communication network. Instantaneous coordination between micro-units across stellar distances would revolutionize space warfare. Captain Rodriguez's neural interface hummed as he ran quick simulations. The tactical possibilities are extraordinary. Micro-units coordinating fleet movements in real time, precision strikes synchronized across entire star systems. Alina held up her hand, bringing the excited discussions to a pause. While these military applications are impressive, Earth sees an opportunity for something more significant. Our technology has demonstrated that size need not determine capability. Perhaps this is a chance to move beyond traditional power structures entirely. The chamber fell silent, considering her words. The Caraxian diplomatic corps, historically focused on displays of physical might, showed signs of genuine intrigue. What do you propose? Supreme Commander Vexthor asked, his tone thoughtful. A cooperative defense initiative, yes, but one focused on maintaining peace through mutual understanding. Our micro-units have proven that even the smallest force can be significant. Let's apply that lesson to diplomatic relations as well. The Centaurian delegation's emotion colors shifted to deep blue, indicating profound appreciation. Their spokesperson's melodic voice filled the chamber. The humans speak wisdom. We have long sought a way to bridge the divide between larger and smaller species. Statistical advisor Clara, who had recently revised every strategic assessment in Caraxian history, stepped forward. Our preliminary analysis suggests that cooperative development would yield superior results to independent military advancement. The humans' innovative approach to warfare has revealed countless opportunities we overlooked due to our preconceptions. Dr. Chen activated a holographic display, showing the potential integration of various species technologies. Together, we could develop defensive systems that protect all our worlds, regardless of size or physical capabilities. The micro-units are just the beginning. As the chamber erupted in excited discussions, Alina exchanged knowing looks with her team. The Caraxians' initial dismissal of humanity had led to a complete revaluation of galactic power structures. Their miniature army had opened the door to something far more significant than military superiority. It had created an opportunity for genuine cooperation across the species barrier. The Galactic Defense Academy's central training facility bustled with activity as representatives from 20 different species gathered for the first Cooperative Defense Initiative Summit. The massive chamber had been specially designed to accommodate beings of all sizes, from the towering Caraxians to the microscopic Tyranny. Dr. Chen stood at the adaptive podium, which adjusted its height as she moved, presenting the latest developments in neural interface technology. Behind her, Captain Rodriguez demonstrated advanced control techniques to a captivated audience. The key to successful micro-unit control lies not in raw processing power. Dr. Chen explained, but in the operator's ability to think simultaneously at multiple scales. Humanity's evolutionary path of tool use and social cooperation has uniquely prepared us for this role. The Centaurian observer's emotion colors pulsed with understanding as their own attempts at micro-unit control appeared on the main display. Their natural telepathic abilities had allowed them to achieve partial synchronization, but their control lacked the intuitive precision of human operators. Each species brings unique advantages to micro-unit operations, Rodriguez added, directing his swarm through a complex demonstration pattern. The Sereth's spatial awareness has revolutionized our three-dimensional combat protocols, while Caraxian's strategic doctrine has improved our large-scale deployment methods. Supreme Commander Vexthor, now serving as the head of the Joint Species Combat Development Board, activated his own presentation. We have integrated micro-unit tactics into our capital ship operations. The results have exceeded all projections. The holographic display showed a Caraxian dreadnought, its massive form bristling with micro-unit deployment pods. The tiny warriors swarmed around the vessel like a protective cloud, extending its defensive and offensive capabilities far beyond traditional parameters. Furthermore, statistical advisor Clara interjected, the combination of Lumini quantum communications and human neural control has achieved something unprecedented. True strategic omniscience across an entire battlefield. The assembled delegates watched in awe as a simulation demonstrated the new capabilities. Micro-units coordinated fleet movements with perfect precision, their human operators processing vast amounts of tactical data through their neural interfaces. The battlefield had become a three-dimensional chess game where size was just one of many factors to consider. However, Dr. Chen cautioned, we've discovered that effective micro-unit control requires more than just technological interface. It demands a fundamental understanding of scale dynamics that few species naturally possess. The Tyranny representative, barely visible to the larger species, activated their amplification field to join the discussion. Our attempts to replicate the human neural control system have proven this. Despite our natural affinity for microscale operations, we cannot match their intuitive grasp of multi-scale warfare. Rodriguez's neural interface hummed as he initiated another demonstration. His micro-units split into multiple autonomous groups, each executing different tactical objectives while maintaining perfect coordination with the others. The display showed his neural patterns, revealing how his brain processed the complex operations as naturally as breathing. This is why the initiative focuses on cooperative development rather than technology transfer, Elena explained, joining the presentation. Each species contributes their natural strengths, creating a defense network far stronger than any single approach. The chamber's atmosphere shifted as the implications became clear. Traditional warfare, based on size and brute force, had become obsolete. In its place, a new doctrine emerged, one that valued adaptability, cooperation, and innovative thinking above all else. The galaxy has entered a new age, Supreme Commander Vexthor announced, his voice carrying the weight of centuries of military tradition. The humans have shown us that true power lies not in size, but in the ability to understand and operate across all scales of existence. Dr. Chen watched as the delegates digested this profound shift in military philosophy. Their initial project, born from the necessity of defending Earth against larger aggressors, had evolved into something far more significant, a complete reimagining of how species of different sizes could interact and cooperate. 5 years after the first demonstration of Earth's micro-units, the Stellar Assembly gathered for a historic occasion. The massive chamber, once dominated by size-based hierarchy, now featured a revolutionary circular arrangement where all species stood as equals. Holographic interfaces allowed even the smallest representatives to participate fully in the proceedings. Ambassador Elena surveyed the gathered delegates with quiet satisfaction. The Caraxian Empire, once poised to protect Earth, now served as their strongest ally in promoting galactic stability. Supreme Commander Vexthor stood at the ceremony center, his massive frame adorned with the new insignia of the Joint Defense Initiative. Today marks not just the graduation of our first multi-species micro-unit operator class, Vexthor announced, but the beginning of a new era in galactic civilization. The chamber's displays showed the graduating class: humans, Corrections, Shureth, Lumini, and a dozen other species who had successfully completed the advanced neural interface training. Dr. Chen's breakthrough in adaptive neural interfaces had made it possible for various species to control micro-units in ways that complemented their natural abilities. Each species brings unique perspectives to micro-unit operations, Captain Rodriguez explained, now serving as Chief Training Officer. The Correction's natural grasp of large-scale strategy combined with human fine control creates possibilities we never imagined. The graduates demonstrated their capabilities in a synchronized display. Micro-units moved in perfect harmony, showcasing how different species approaches merged into a seamless whole. The Correction operator coordinated large-scale formations while their human partner executed precision maneuvers. Shureth operators added their natural stealth expertise, while Lumini controllers leveraged their quantum awareness. What began as a defensive measure has evolved into something far more significant. Elena addressed the assembly. The micro-unit program has proven that physical size need not determine capability or influence. Each species, regardless of their scale, contributes vital perspectives to our shared future. Statistical advisor Clara, who had once dismissed Earth's military as insignificant, presented the latest analysis. The integration of multiple species approaches has increased operational efficiency by 300%. More importantly, it has revolutionized how we think about power and cooperation in the galaxy. The holographic displays showed the transformation. Massive Correction ships now served as mobile bases for mixed-species micro-unit teams. Shureth stealth technology combined with human precision created undetectable strike forces. Lumini quantum networks enabled instantaneous coordination across vast distances. Perhaps most significantly, Dr. Chen added, "We've discovered that neural interface technology enhances cross-species understanding. Operators who train together develop a deep appreciation for different perspectives and scales of existence." The chamber's attention turned to a practical demonstration. A graduated team of mixed-species operators showcased their capabilities, their micro-units moving with a harmony that would have seemed impossible 5 years ago. The display wasn't just about military power, it represented the potential for genuine cooperation across all barriers. "We once thought Earth's size made it vulnerable," Supreme Commander Vexthor admitted. "Instead, humanity showed us that true strength lies in adaptability, innovation, and the willingness to see beyond physical limitations." Ambassador Elena activated a final holographic display, showing the network of cooperative defense installations that now protected multiple species worlds. The micro-units had evolved from a defensive technology into a bridge between civilizations, creating connections that transcended physical scale. 5 years ago, the galaxy measured power in terms of size and strength, Elena concluded. Today, we understand that every perspective, every scale of existence, offers unique insights and capabilities. The laughter that once greeted our miniature army has been replaced by a deeper understanding that greatness lies not in physical size, but in the ability to imagine and create new possibilities. As the ceremony concluded, the gathered species, from the towering to the microscopic, celebrated not just a military advancement, but a fundamental shift in galactic society. The humans' innovative approach to warfare had inadvertently created something far more valuable: a framework for genuine cooperation and understanding across all scales of existence.